with correspondent Philip Crowther in Washington. Philip, what's the latest where you are?
Well, it was a very public display of affection, first of all, between President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, but it was also a very symbolic signing of that declaration by the president. We weren't necessarily expecting him to do that during the visit of Prime Minister Netanyahu here to the White House, but in the end, the president signed that proclamation recognizing Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights in the diplomatic reception room here at the White House, with, of course, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in attendance. Donald Trump again saying that this was a long time coming, that he had thought about it for a long time. Of course, the United States is the first country to do this and goes very much against United Nations norms. This is a great present, of course, for Benjamin Netanyahu. He's wanted this for a very long time. There was an exchange of presents, if you will, between the two, the president giving the Prime Minister of Israel the pen with which he signed that very, very important proclamation, and a real big change in U.S. foreign policy. The Israeli Prime Minister responding with a case of wine for the president, who, of course, doesn't drink. But any which way, this was a very close relationship that we saw again between these two leaders, and a very, very big foreign policy change that was enacted here in public in front of the Prime Minister of Israel at the White House.
No superlative was too grand for Benjamin Netanyahu when it came to praising the U.S. president.
No, you're absolutely right. He made the comparison with President Harry Truman, for example. This Prime Minister believes that the U.S. President, that Donald Trump, is particularly good for the U.S.-Israeli relationship. You've heard from the President saying this again and again. He believes that the relationship between the United States and Israel has never been better. Of course, a lot is coming together here for Benjamin Netanyahu. He is in an election fight right now back in Israel. Meeting the U.S. President here is positive for him. He's been campaigning on his close relationship with U.S. President Donald Trump. Of course, not all has gone according to plan for Netanyahu. He was supposed to stay here longer. He was supposed to, first of all, address the pro-Israel lobby AIPAC's annual conference. He's going to leave earlier and will be on his way back to Israel in the coming hours. He was supposed to be here at the White House for dinner tomorrow night as well, but all of that has been cut short for Netanyahu to be able to oversee the military response in Israel to that rocket attack from Gaza on Israel. And we didn't hear necessarily directly from the president here today a show of support for any military moves on Gaza from Israel, but there was certainly sympathy expressed by the president for those who were injured in that rocket attack. You can be pretty sure that U.S. President Donald Trump will be standing side by side with Israel and its Prime Minister Netanyahu. Remember that U.S. policy has been for a long time and will continue to be that Israel has the right to defend itself, and that is something that presumably we'll be hearing from the Trump administration again over the next few days.
And we've just heard in the past minutes, Philip, the UN Secretary General state once again that it's clear that the status of the Golan Heights has not changed. What does public opinion in the United States think?
Well, essentially, Israel is seen as a very, very close ally for the United States. There is public support for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship. I don't think you'll hear a lot of opinions on U.S. recognition of Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, but any move that the United States makes in the direction of Israel generally gets quite a lot of public support in the United States. And crucially, of course, these kinds of moves get political support as well, despite the fact that the United Nations, as you just said, criticizes this move by the United States. You won't hear a lot of criticism from Democrats, for example, here in the United States. From Republicans, certainly not. They support pretty much anything that Donald Trump does. But Democrats largely are also on board with a very close U.S.-Israeli relationship. And we haven't heard much criticism towards this unprecedented move by the United States, and again, a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy when it comes to the Golan Heights.
Philip Crowther reporting